As India and the US move closer to finalizing their interim trade deal, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal clarified that buying crude oil, LNG or LPG from the US is in India's strategic interest, but stressed that such decisions are taken by companies, not trade negotiators. Now, speaking to the media, Goyal said the pact focuses on smoother trade pathways and preferential access, not on directing where India should source its energy from. Listen in.
The buying of crude oil or LNG, LPG from the US is in India's own strategic interests as we diversify our oil sources. But the decisions are taken by the buyers, by the companies themselves. So the trade deal doesn't discuss who will buy what and from where. The trade deal ensures that the pathway to trade is smooth, ensures preferential access. Trade FTAs are all about preferential access to your competition. So today when we've got an 18% reciprocal tariff, we have a preference over other developing nations who are usually our competition. And that's why the free trade deal becomes very attractive.
At the same time, Piyush Goyal also dismissed suggestions of any trust deficit between India and the United States, saying bilateral ties remain strong despite differences on some global issues. Addressing ties under the Trump administration, Goyal said the trade agreement would strengthen long-term India-US strategic goals into concrete outcomes. He added that the pact is built on mutual respect and shared interests, with India and the US continuing to partner across defense, trade and strategic cooperation.
In my mind, the United States is a great country to work with. We have wonderful relations at every level, between our leaders, at the ministerial level, between our businesses, and the people-to-people contact is fantastic. The relations and the number of persons of Indian origin who work there and who have adopted that as their country. So they work as a living bridge and help nuance the relationship. In fact, the United States is a great country to do business also. I myself, in my early days as a young man, exported a lot of products to the US. I was not a full-time politician. I used to work for my party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, in my young days. But we have always believed that it's good that we stand on our own feet, we provide for ourselves, we work for a few years in the commercial world and provide and make enough capital to be able to serve the nation when you do jump into it full time.
Goyal also stressed that India will have no difficulty purchasing $500 billion worth of goods from the US over the next 5 years under the trade pact, calling the target extremely conservative for a country aspiring to become a $30 trillion economy. Goyal said demand from aviation, energy, technology, data centers and steel alone could exceed $100 billion annually. He added that despite an 18% tariff, Indian exports would remain competitive against rivals like China, which face higher levies, while safeguards in the deal protect farmers and sensitive sectors such as dairy, GM crops and meat.
We estimate that the requirements that we have for import of certain items where the United States has the ability to sell to us, things like crude oil, LNG, LPG, airplanes, their engines, their spare parts, coking coal. You know, we have 140 million tons steel capacity. We're going to increase that to 300 million tons. Our current coking coal requirement for steel is already $17 billion. That will become probably $30 billion. 35 billion a year will be required only coking coal. If we have one or two more countries supplying that, the more the merrier, we get a better deal. We can negotiate smarter and better. Planes are required by India. We already have orders of 50 billion to Boeing for planes, plus orders for engines, plus orders for spare parts. I suspect we'll need anywhere between 80 and $100 billion of just civil aviation related products.